The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Michelle Knezovic here with you. Nick Keyser on the ones and twos. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. It's pretty nice outside, so not too bad. Michelle, what's up? How are you?
Doing well this morning. I love the nice weather. I'm ready for spring, Chase, but doing great this morning.
Well, I'm doing great as well. I'm excited for today's show because we're going to talk to Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt basketball coach. He's going to join us at 9:30, so I'm looking forward to that. Vanderbilt has been on a tear. You just heard it in your update of, hey, they keep doing some things. They got a good chance to make the dance, and so we will for sure ask him about that and his team. We'll talk to Max Hers as well about the Predators. But that's where we begin because the Predators are back in action tonight against the Vancouver Canucks, and we've had some pretty in-depth and honest conversations as of late about this team and where they are. And, I've listened to the other shows talk about it. Everybody has an opinion, but I do kind of feel like for the most part, everyone is trending towards it's time to sell. Mm-hmm. But listening to David Poile on with Robbie and Rexroad just a few minutes ago, I don't think he's there yet. I think he is still evaluating, holding out hope, and in some ways, he does have time that he can do that. They have 5 games until the trade deadline, which is March 3rd. You're going to see a lot of deals happen in that 48-hour window before the deadline. We've already seen, a few. And one thing I'll caution people on is I think sometimes when they see, like, St. Louis make a big deal, everybody freaks out like, oh, all the big deals are going to be done. They won't be able to make a big deal. No, they will.
There'll be time.
There's time. And so I think, just because he's not, putting the garage sale sign out in front of Bridgestone Arena today, that doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen. But, even though I respect the fact that, like we said yesterday, if they win these next 3 against teams that, quite frankly, they should beat, that puts them in a much better position. And, they'd be able to potentially claim a playoff spot. I still look at that more as false hope, just because of the way the season as a whole has gone. And that is my biggest concern, because right now they still sit at 58 points. The teams in front of them for the wild card are at 65 and 68 respectfully. That gap is getting wider and wider. Calgary's in between with 63 points. So they need a lot of help, and they have a lot of work to do. That's why that head-to-head against Minnesota was so important the other day, and they dropped that. So while I respect the fact that, he's hanging on, I just don't know at this point if there's going to be enough time.
Chase, I agree. And, you mentioned the Minnesota game. That game was the difference in being behind 3 points or being behind 7 points. So that specific game set them back quite a bit when it comes to, still earning that playoff spot. They're sitting at about 9% right now. And honestly, when I heard the David Poile interview this morning, I thought maybe he ran it back a little bit on some of his answers, because I feel like when he came on last week, he felt a little bit more sure of, okay, these next couple games will let us know. He said, we're definitely not going to be buyers. But I feel like today it was a little bit more optimistic, and maybe the way I viewed it was, okay, maybe they're not 100% set on selling at the deadline. Even though I think that it's true, I don't know if David Poile does, Chase.
Well, and here was his answer when he was asked by the guys of, okay, have you seen enough, or where are you at when it comes to selling?
Well, David, to that point, just have you, as a staff, as a front office, have you reached a decision on the path that you want to go, or do you guys still need more time to see how this unfolds over the next few games?
Like an injury, we're day to day. we talk every day about different situations, and I certainly could be influenced by somebody having a desire to make a trade, whether we're talking about two different things, whether we're trading away a player or maybe we're acquiring a player. I think this is a great time of year in terms of the dialogue between managers, because you find out a lot more about everybody's team. You find out a lot more about their individual players, who they really like, who they would trade. Again, it's when it happens in terms of what we decide to do, it'll be probably pretty. I don't want to say pretty obvious, but right now it's still up in the air. It's still a gray area. I am repeating again that I'm talking to lots of teams, and you never know what's going to happen. All I know is that we've got to win a game tonight, and we've got a couple more games, in my opinion, that can get us back into this race. So, for example, Calgary is a team that's ahead of us that we have to catch. So they played Philadelphia, a non-playoff team, last night, and they lost at home. So, just looking at a lot of different things right now.
That was David Poile earlier with Robbie and Rexroad. So day to day, just like an injury, that's how he's classifying it right now. And I do think a lot of GMs are still in that point. I have no doubt that he's talking, that there are calls being made. But, the other part of this too is a lot of the teams that he's probably talking to are in a very similar situation that he's in. But the Predators are, if to give you full transparency here, St. Louis, a team that has waved the white flag, they are selling. They have 55 points. They're in fifth place. They're just behind Nashville with 58 points. So, that shows you kind of where, how close things really are for them getting to that point. I don't want them to wait too long and miss the opportunity to maybe move some of these players.
No, Chase, I agree. And as far as, our conversations, we've heard from the fans watching the performance on the ice. In our minds, seeing other teams around the league in similar situations are selling. You mentioned the Blues, right? What would be an outcome or outcomes of the on-the-ice play that would sway David Poile's mind to not sell? Because, I look at the stretch that they have coming up here, and they're playing non-playoff teams. These should be games that they should win. But by them winning those games and, maybe getting a little closer to a playoff spot, should that sway David Poile into not selling? I don't think so. What do you think?
No, it shouldn't, but...
Will it?
I think it might. The organization wants to make the playoffs.
Yes.
That has become very clear. And look, that's a great goal. That is, you can hang your hat on. Yes, we are a perennial playoff team. Are you a perennial contender though? And that's the big difference. To me, it's not just making the playoffs anymore. There was a time where this franchise, that was a win. Like if you made the playoffs every year and then whatever happens, that is a absolute win. But they're past that. They're at a point now where it's make the playoffs and win playoff series and contend for a Stanley Cup. And yes, anything can happen when you make the dance. We know that. But I think we also look at this team and, that was another thing that Robbie asked, like, when you're evaluating, you look at this team and do you compare them to what the matchup would look like against potential playoff teams? And I think you have to do that. And right now, as I look at the teams that, let's say they get into that second wild card spot, which is, the most realistic spot that they have right now. Well, they'd have to play Dallas. And I think Dallas would take care of business in probably 5 games.
I agree.
If they got the first wild card spot, then they'd have to play Vegas. I think Vegas would probably take care of business in about 5, maybe 6 games, but they'd still win the series. So I don't like the matchups in any scenario for them right now based on what I have seen this season, because it has been so inconsistent. And you can't have one of those. Every time they hit the ice, we go, well, which Predators team are we going to get tonight? Are we going to get the team that, played their hearts out against Florida and won 7-3, or are we going to get the team that got boat raced by the best team in the league in Boston? Mm-hmm. We don't know. And that you can't do that in the playoffs.
So Nick actually just texted us a quick little stat right now. Right now on Money Puck, the Preds have a 3% chance to get the second wild card spot. Okay, so that is far lower than I expected right now. So, the way I look at this is, what are you even holding on to right now? A 3% chance?
So, Nick, are you saying that's basically they have a 3% chance of making the playoffs?
Well, essentially, yes. Whoa, hello, Mike. But I think at the same time, the other thing I just noticed too, Minnesota has a 9% chance of locking in that second wild card spot. So that's not too encouraging, and you have to bank on them having a pretty horrible back half, and I'm not too encouraged by that.
Yeah. I just and look, I am not one of those people that says give up.
No.
But
be realistic.
Right. You have to be realistic, and I think that they need to look at it's time to look for the future. And, there are people, like there was somebody on our text line, like they should have started this 3 years ago. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, could you have blown it up after the bubble? You could have, but, you're in COVID and there's so many unknowns. Like, I don't think and actually in some ways they did. They let a lot of free agents walk that had been on this team for a long time. They traded Nick Bonino. So they didn't blow it up, but they did make changes. So, and again, I don't know if I subscribe to a full-on rebuild, and I don't think David Poile does either. But it's certainly now I think is the time to start looking ahead to the future, and we'll discuss that even more because the question also came up with David Poile: can he move some of these big contracts? We'll discuss that coming up next. It's Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185!
Every team needs a quarterback.
185! Take!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, time to talk about Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars, my go-to spot downtown. They have the best old-fashioned in the city, which is my favorite. I love old-fashions, voted over 14 other bars and restaurants in Nashville. They have an exclusive relationship with Davidoff Cigars, the best cigars in the world, that allows access to rare cigars that only Blend can carry. And Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars has the best ventilation system in the industry that allows for enjoyment for cigar smokers and non-cigar smokers alike. It changes the air every 7 minutes. So if you're going with someone, maybe they're not into cigar smoking, that's okay. There's a spot for them too. It's a perfect atmosphere just to hang out. They have a VIP room, private event area. Just hit my man Jeremy up to schedule that. It's got some leather-wrapped furniture, a big TV, your own washroom. It's perfect for private parties. It's located at 508 Church Street in downtown Nashville, blocks away from Bridgestone Arena, Nissan Stadium, and the Ryman Auditorium, the perfect spot to hang out before an event downtown. So go check it out. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars is luxury redefined.
You can trek through the savannas of Africa. Wait on the magic moment on the Great Plains of North America. Or find the thrills of Patagonia. You can book your dream hunt at the SEI Convention, coming to Nashville for the very first time. Come find your adventure February 22nd through February 25th. It's the ultimate sportsman's market, a place for every hunter. And this year, it's happening Music City style, with sold-out performances by Big and Rich and Leonard Skinner. But you can still find your outdoor adventure and rock out with the Frontman with Gretchen Wilson. It's a celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, February 22nd through February 25th. Come find your adventure. Just log on to safariclub.org. One more time, that's safariclub.org. This convention will sell out, so reserve your spot today. Come find your adventure.
Preds fans, Superbook wants to send one lucky fan a pair of tickets on the ice. Text the keyword Superbook, all one word, to 615-737-1025 for entry to win.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When you want live and local,
if they were just better at the offensive line,
you could be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. Taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is Jason Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Preds fans, hang out tonight before the Preds game at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway. With us, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials. Plus, you can enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Back here on Chase and Michelle, you can weigh in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Your calls on the Predators and what they need to be doing. Does tonight matter in their decision-making moving forward? We'll also be joined by Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt basketball coach, at the bottom of the hour. One thing that I want to get into before we get to your phones, one thing that David Poile was asked earlier today was the big contracts that they have and how difficult it might be to move those.
Well, David, if it goes the way of you thinking that, it's time to think about selling and maybe selling significantly, how does that look? I mean, it appears you may be in a bind with some of these contracts. I mean, do you feel like you can do significant changes given the state of the roster and the contracts?
I think we have players that are very attractive to other teams. Yes, you are correct. I don't think it's just for the Nashville Predators and our contracts, but I think everybody is up against it from the cap. You see the last deal that was made with St. Louis and Toronto. They needed a third team to take salary to make the deal work. So I think my answer is if you want to do something and you have a willing partner, I think there's always ways that may not be exactly perfect for both teams, but I think you can find a way. But I repeat again, it's our certain players in our team are going to play better as we go forward with our team. Is this year, this inconsistency, is this a little bit of an anomaly, or do we need to make changes with our hockey club? So myself, my staff, our scouts, we are talking about a lot of things on a daily basis. I think you can pretty well imagine that it's pretty busy, if you will, in the National Hockey League in terms of general managers talking to each other, and you trade some thoughts and ideas, and we're just going to have to see where we land, and what opportunities we might have, and again, just to make a strong evaluation on each individual on our team before we do anything.
That was David Poile earlier this morning. Okay, I have some thoughts on that because there was a takeaway that stood out to me. But Michelle, what do you think about that?
So when David first started off, he talked about the players' inconsistency this year, talked about how they had 9 guys who had career years last year and 0 this year. But by the way he articulated it, it makes me think that he's still waiting to see if they can string some games together or that this group can be consistent. Although when I look at this situation, I think that the players have already showed you with their play this year that this team has not been consistent. And with under 30 games, less to go, the trade line hovering over your head, I don't think these next couple games and any consistency you see from players will prove to you that they can be consistent for the rest of the year and then also, make some noise in the playoffs, Chase. That was probably my biggest takeaway from this.
So I agree with that. I think David is always going to hold out hope and that something can turn around. But the thing that stood out to me was he noted that they're not the only team in the league that has big contracts that would be hard to move. And he's right. He's not wrong there. But then he noted how St. Louis has been doing it and that you have the third team come in and there's some moving of money around. To me, he's had enough conversations that he knows he can probably make some things happen. That they're not necessarily there's already a trade in place, but just in conversations he's had with other managers, it's like, yeah, we could probably do that. The other part is that he's going to have to come to terms with having to eat some salary, which he has never liked to do. Whenever they have made moves, he's never liked to retain salary. They're probably going to have to do that. If they were to move, I mean, the most notable two of that would be Johansson or Duchesne. If you were to move one of those deals, you're probably holding back some money, and there could be a third team involved too. But there are teams with cap room that could take on cap. The Predators are one of them, and so I think that certainly plays into it. But that's what it tells me. I think he's going to hold out hope to the very end. But I think he knows that if he's got to start making deals, he's got some deals he can make. That's what I think.
Hang on, Preds fans.
Yeah, hang on to that. Hang on for the ride, for sure. Let's go to the phone, 615-737-1025. Scott wants to weigh in. Scott, welcome in.
Hey, guys. So this may be crazy. I don't know. But we're talking about contracts to move. And with Askarov down in the AHL playing pretty well, and with our I think our only all-star in UC, would now be a good time to see if we might – I mean, I feel like we could get a pretty good haul for UC at this point. I don't want to, but, if we have a top-tier goalie coming up, would that not be a good time to see if we could get some good trade value in him?
Thanks for the call. Good question, Scott. So here's how I'd answer it. That has obviously come up, and a lot of people have wondered about that. Me personally, I wouldn't do it right now because I know a lot of fans want to go into a full-on rebuild. I've told you my thoughts on that. I'm more into a reset. Now, my version of a reset and David Poyle's version of a reset could be two different things, but I don't know if I am ready to jettison the goalie yet because Askarov is not ready to be a starter in the league. No. Could you re-sign Lankinen and Lankinen be the starter and Askarov be the backup and, have a 1A, 1B kind of thing? Maybe. But, and yes, you could get a huge haul for him. But I know that they're not there yet. I know that they're not thinking that. And so I just don't see it happening. And plus, I actually think you might get more for him if you waited to the offseason and rather than doing it right now.
Yeah, Chase, I agree, too. When people are looking at their rosters for the next year, seeing what they've got, I think it would be more of an off-season move. I don't rule it out as far as if they want to go full rebuild, but I think if you heard the interview with David Poyle earlier this morning, he doesn't like that word rebuild.
No, he likes reset.
Reset, retool. He doesn't like the full, scrap it all down to build it all right back up. And we've talked about that. That's really, really hard to be able to be successful and do a full-on rebuild in the NHL. So, based off that comment from him, I don't see them moving off UC. And I also agree with you. I don't think, you want to put a wrench in Askarov's, development up in Milwaukee by saying, okay, yep, nope, we gotta bring you up now because we just gave UC up to get more picks, to get more draft capital, and now we want to have you be the backup, maybe behind Lankinen for a bit. I think, the best thing for him is to get all that work in the AHL. I mean, we saw him this year. We saw him come up for a little this year, and that's fine, but if you want him to get his full potential, his full development, you want him to stay up in Milwaukee before you have to bring him.
Well, and I think, too, they will evaluate that in the offseason and where he's at and decide, okay, he's ready to be the backup or he still needs some seasoning.
Well, and the ideal situation would be what Pekka and UC had. It would be a Scaroff being able to learn from, practice with UC Saros, a guy who's a leader on this team, just like Pekka was. Learn from him, learn from a great goalie, have him teach you some things, and then eventually be able to take that starting spot.
Before we get to Jerry Stackhouse, William wants to weigh in on the Predators. William, go ahead.
Hey, William.
Hey, I think what Poyle's been doing is putting a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound because I guess it's his age. But no matter what, whether anybody likes it or not, what I want to do is win a Stanley Cup every year. But what's going to happen is it's going to be a free rebuild. You can go ahead and take the strong medicine now or keep deluding yourself. But by the time this team gets good again, they're all going to be gone.
Thanks for the call, William.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a little more acceptance than maybe they're letting on, if I'm being honest. Because you haven't seen moves yet, you're thinking, no, they're not. But, I think he's going to drag this out to the very last second. But I also think there is some realism setting in, and you might see more than you think you will.
I agree. And, I mean, David Poile made it clear last week, they're not buyers. And I think this week, by him just saying, I've talked to a lot of people around the league and, mentioning that his players have value and the contract situation we touched on. So he definitely has been talking, and whether that be shopping around, we've seen the reports from Pierre LeBrun. So there definitely is some talking and phone calls being made.
Coming up next, we will talk to Vanderbilt basketball coach Jerry Stackhouse. They have been on quite the run as of late. We'll do that next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? This is Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports. Listen, I've been telling you about Superbook Sports all football season long, and I've been using it as we transition into basketball season. I love betting on some college hoops, and with our teams right in this state performing pretty well, they can be a nice moneymaker for you all. You got Tennessee, Texas A&M tonight. It's going to be a pick-em tonight. It's in College Station. Texas A&M, though, an underrated team sitting at second in the SEC right now. I'm going to take Texas A&M minus the 1. And then we've also got Vanderbilt and LSU coming up tomorrow night. I'm going to take Vanderbilt on the money line. They're on a heater right now, looking to get their 6th straight SEC win. One of the reasons, though, you should try Superbook Sports is because they give you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. And I love it because they don't have fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-9-9789.
Do you own or operate a diverse small business? Expand your customer reach and access local procurement decision makers at the Nashville Area Chamber's Supplier Diversity Fair, sponsored by Truist. All diverse small businesses are invited. The fair begins at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, February 28th at City Winery. Visit NashvilleChamber.com/events to register. That's NashvilleChamber.com/events. See you on the 28th at City Winery.
It's the final countdown on the Electronic Express President's Day sale. That means huge savings in every department at any of our convenient locations, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers, headphones, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 5 years interest-free financing on furniture and mattress purchases. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Sale ends Saturday. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics has been serving Wilson County for over 12 years. To ensure safety of both their patients and staff, they are strictly adhering to CDC and OSHA guidelines. They're located where you live and work, just off South Hartman Drive in Lebanon, focusing on general orthopedics, sports medicine trauma, and arthroscopic of the hip, shoulder, foot, and ankle. When experience matters, trust the #1 orthopedic clinic in Wilson County. For more info or to book an appointment, visit tn.houston.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Chase and Michelle podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
I got some good news. Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Back here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Let's head to the phones and talk to Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt basketball coach. He is on the line with us. Coach, how the heck are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great, man. Thanks.
Well, I know it's been a lot of fun lately winning these 5 in a row, but, you know, some of those have come down to the wire, and you've won it literally at the buzzer. How's your ticker holding up? Because that's got to be hard for a head coach to live that way.
No, I mean, even the games that we've, some early in the year that we lost and some of them we won, man, we've been in a lot of close games. We've been in a lot of these type of battles. No, it's probably a big heartache on our fans because it seems like even when we have a little separation, we seem to make it closer than we need to. But no, it was just been some hard-fought battles, man. Guys really executing late. Probably still hadn't hit our stride offensively where I think we're capable of, but what we've been doing on the defensive end has allowed us to go on this run.
Yeah, and speaking of your fans, that crowd was special on Saturday, and I think we've seen that a lot as of late. Do you feel like you're really starting to see what Memorial Magic is all about?
I think our fans have been great all season, man. I mean, I think obviously, you don't get the type of support during the non-conference games that we do during the conference play because obviously Nashville is a hotbed for everybody. Everybody in the SEC wants to, whenever their team play here, they want to come and support. But our guys have still been drowning them out. I think they've been doing a great job of being in there, especially our students. Our students have been unbelievable. But fans throughout the A and B sections, man, it's been unbelievable just to hear that roar. Especially when we're having some big moments in the games, man. It's definitely an advantage for us.
We've got Jerry Stackhouse on with us. Coach, what can you say about this team's mental toughness? You have the tough loss to Alabama a couple weeks ago, and then since then, this team has just been on a tear. You beat Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, Auburn this past weekend, and now you got LSU coming up this week. 5 straight SEC wins. What can you say about this team's, poise as they have a tough, hard loss and they decide to use it as motivation and really gain those wins and fight for a spot in the tournament as we get later into the season?
I mean, that's probably what it looked like from the outside looking in, but it's just that wasn't where the motivation started from us. Our motivation started from us losing a lot of games that we felt that we shouldn't, and it just all came to a head at that Alabama game. Just felt like we needed a little bit more focus. I mean, I think we had been asking, and sometimes you had to do something to demand it. And I think that we woke up. Obviously, we got healthy. I mean, through a lot of the kind of turbulent time, it was coincided with Lim not being a part of what we were doing, and obviously Ezra kind of finding his way in a new system. But I mean, those guys have really taking it to a new level, within our team and understanding what we want to do on both ends of the floor, as well as just, guys staying resilient, knowing that, it's all noise. When we heard so much after, that Alabama game, so many things were written and said, but for us, it was just about what's going on in our locker room, how we need to handle it, how we need to approach it, how we need to stack in possession after possession, and And ultimately the wins are coming if we keep doing what we're supposed to do right. And now it's different. Now it's a different noise. It's a noise all of a sudden about the NCAA tournament. So now we just got to, again, focus on us, taking it one game at a time, and all those things will take care of themselves if we do what we need to do.
Well, Liam Robbins was one of the guys that you just mentioned getting healthy, and he's been quite the difference maker for your team. 3 out of the 5 last games, he's had double-doubles. How, I guess, rewarding could you say as a coach, you played college basketball, you were in the league for a while, to see him finally be able to get on the court and make a difference for this team after struggling with injuries throughout last year and a portion of this year?
Oh, yeah, I just think he stuck with it. Again, it's been some frustration there. It hadn't all been all peaches and roses and all those things, man. It's just been being critiqued and being coached and, focusing in, locking in on the things that he needed to do. And I think, he just had to, he found it. He found it, and now he's playing at a level, even when he's not, scoring the ball well or shooting the ball well, he's still doing other things. And he's an unbelievable rim protector for us. Getting him better as a screener, the better that he screens and get Studi and Trey and those guys shots, that the more that he's going to be able to have room to operate. So I think seeing the full picture has been great for Liam, and just his development and continued development. I think he has a chance to play at that next level, and I think he's really putting himself in great position to have some options after the season's over.
We've got Jerry Stackhouse on with us, Vanderbilt head coach. Well, his other partner in crime, Ezra Manjon, they've created such a great, duo on the court for you all. Taking a look at Ezra's progression from the beginning of the year towards, now we're closing out the regular season, how confident do you feel in him to run your team's offense, have him be your point guard, and have the ball in his hand, when the seconds are closing out on the clock? I think about the Auburn game on Saturday where he just, goes right to the hoop and gets it in for you guys to close out the game.
Yeah, probably in our biggest moments in this stretch, Ez has had his hands on the situation and really put his imprint on it. I mean, the Tennessee game, him getting downhill, making the right read, making an on-time target pass to Tyron for, probably the biggest shot since we've been here. The other night, again, the ball in his hands, Lim's an option, Miles an option at the free throw line. He just uses his speed and makes the right read and finishes the way that we teach to finish, not going in launching off of one leg, but off of two, where he has more control and more function of what needs to happen. But just, his understanding of that and, just like the progression from the beginning of the season, learning, it's tough to be my point guard, honestly. And he's done a hell of a job at it, man. And it just, because he needs to know where everybody is at. It's not just point guard, not just need to know what he does in the play. All the 4 other guys, they can just know what they need to do. But he has to know what all 5 guys need to do, and he's gotten better and better at it. And on top of just the basketball stuff, man, he's just an unbelievable leader. He's one of those guys that they gravitate to. He's a spiritual guy. And he's just all about the team and doing whatever he can to see us be successful and win. So that's what I love about him the most.
We're talking to Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt basketball coach. And along those lines, that's one thing that I really admire about the program that you have built. You have leaders of men. You have guys like Jordan Wright. I've done some work with the Nashville Super Speedway. He interned with them, got to meet him last year during the race while he's playing basketball, and he put his all into both of those things. How important is that? It's pretty obvious, but how important is that to have guys like that help you build a program from scratch?
No, it's unbelievable, man. I mean, I think, Jordan was my very first recruit. We were late in when we got hired. He was late in the season, kind of the recruiting season was over, but he was still available. He was, at the time, a 3-star recruit. And when I came in and worked him out myself, we played some one-on-one. That was like our first encounter. And now to see, everything that we've been through, the ups and downs, all of the injuries, everything that's happened over the year, he's been right there in it. And his role has changed, man. I mean, I got to give Jordan unbelievable credit, for just continuing to, like I said about Ezra, doing whatever it takes to win the game. I mean, he was a starter for us, and now it's better for our team for him coming off the bench, and we still need him just as important. He's still closing games. but I can sub him for any one of the 5 starters and feel just as good about the unit that we have out there, and that's a big luxury to have, and for him to accept that role, especially with it being his last year, man, it's what we're doing and what we're about. And again, you don't just arrive here. I mean, there's been some teachable moments, and not all of them have been pretty, but at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to build, man. We're trying to build. It's some incredible young people that we have a chance to have an influence and impact their lives, not only on the basketball court, but my staff and what they do. Really appreciative of them. A lot of things that you don't see with these guys and the things that we do in the community, how they perform academically amongst, the best in the world. So, I mean, we're super proud of all those things, but it is fun to win some basketball games. I can tell you that. We're excited about it, and hopefully we can just finish up strong, man, and give ourselves the best chance of getting ultimately what we want, and that's the postseason berth in the NCAA.
Well, Coach, as someone that grew up going to games at that gym, it's a lot of fun seeing you win those basketball games. So keep it up, and best of luck against LSU. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Coach.
No doubt, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Absolutely. Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt men's basketball coach, joining us as they look to continue their winning streak. They'll take on LSU tomorrow night in Baton Rouge. You can hear that starting at 5:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits, our sister station and home for Vanderbilt Commodores. Man, they have been on such a roll as of late, and a team that's gone the other direction. They play tonight. We'll discuss a little bit of Super Tuesday and how the SEC tournament might be shaping up. We'll do that next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think it's a really good move. TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All right, let's talk some Hair Club. We've been talking about it for a while. They are the proud sponsor of Chase and Michelle. And I wanted to do something about my thinning hair as I got older. And look, you may have thought about that too. So do like I did. Go see Hair Club. You can go in for a free consultation because they can help you with restoration, regrowth, small problems, big problems, whatever the situation is. They have the answers, and they're all tailor-made just for you. All you need to do is go in for a free consultation, and they'll help you out with whatever your hair situation may be. Fill out the form at hairclub.com/chase. That's my name, CHASE, to schedule your free consultation, and they'll give you 10% off anything that you happen to purchase just because you listened and I sent you. You can also text Chase, CHASE, to 694-247. That's 694-247. It's Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more in an Oktoberfest-inspired space. Visit BeerhouseNashville.com for their live music schedule. Get a $50 gift card for half off right now at TheGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last.
With more all-wheel drive, more electrified, and the longest-lasting vehicles, Toyota checks all the boxes, like the adventurous new RAV4. The best-selling SUV in America is the right size vehicle for you. Now through February 28th, get 3.99 APR financing on a new 22 or 23 RAV4 with approved credit through TFS, excludes hybrids, and every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance. Get complete details at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, don't sell without the intel. This message couldn't be more true. Right now, it's a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? And intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com. That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
You're listening to Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 1025, 1063, The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovich, reporter Nick Keyser here with you. Appreciate Coach Jerry Stackhouse for joining us. If you miss any of our interviews, subscribe to the podcast. Search for Chase and Michelle, also at thegamenashville.com. So a quick story. I kind of referenced it in the interview, Michelle. So last year, Jordan Wright, while playing basketball and attending classes at Vanderbilt, was doing an internship with the Nashville Super Speedway. And so one of my friends worked with him, pretty much on a daily basis. So race weekend, I'm at the race, obviously, doing the PA announcing. We have a long rain delay, a red flag, so we're all just kind of twiddling our thumbs and doing nothing. So I go down to the actual Nashville Super Speedway suite because they said I could go eat, and I never turned down a free meal. So I do that, and I look and I see Jerry Stackhouse. And I'm like, what is Stack doing here? And then I'm like, oh, Jordan, yeah, okay. So I go over and say hi, and we talk for a minute. And they sat through the whole rain delay and then the rest of the race. And he was like, man, I love this. He got into it. Obviously, Michael owning a team helps for sure, but it was just cool just to sit there and just kind of shoot the breeze with Stack and Jordan. And you could just see the passion that he has. And I know that it hadn't always been smooth. He said that. It's not always pretty. But the fact that, he's got guys like Jordan Wright that are helping him build this program, and now you're starting to see the success, whether they make it to the tournament or not, which if they keep playing the way they are, they're going to make the tournament. But, I think it's just a really cool story to see where Vanderbilt has come. And it didn't really look like it was going that way at some points, even in this season.
Yeah, no, 100%, Chase. And, Jerry Stackhouse has a very, very hard job at Vanderbilt, right? The type of players he has to recruit, but also needs the talent to be up with the best of the SEC as far as college basketball. The SEC has been one of the top conferences these last couple of years, with Tennessee stepping up their game, right? And obviously always Kentucky and Auburn and, right, the list goes on. But, Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting around here, and I can't believe I fumbled the bag, Chase, and forgot to ask him the most important question. And Jerry, if you're listening, would love to know the answer. But what is more satisfying, beating Duke as a player or beating Tennessee as a coach?
Oh.
Yeah, so we're just going to have to get him back on. And
what do you think he would say? Because I have my answer, but I want to.
I think I think he would say as a coach.
I do too.
Because, I mean, this is his program now. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure beating Duke probably felt pretty good, but I think there was I don't think they ever lost to Duke in his time at UNC.
I'd have to go back and look, but I think you're right. He was on some pretty good teams.
So I think he would probably be like, well, we never lost to them, so it always felt good. And I mean, the way they beat Tennessee in Memorial, it was magic. So we got to ask him that when we have him back on. But this team is on a roll right now. They're looking to extend the game to a 6-game win streak, playing in Baton Rouge against LSU. LSU's not, a tournament team. They're not a good team. So if they just continue with Liam Robbins, he has a strong game. Ezra, all the other guys you mentioned, Jordan Wright, this should be a win for Vanderbilt tomorrow night.
Yeah, but now this is where coaching comes into play. This is where the test comes in, the mental aspect of everything, because it's very easy, especially when you're a team that hasn't had a lot of success as of late. You start to get a little too confident, and I think Jerry Stackhouse is the perfect guy to keep them on even ground with that, because you got to be careful. I mean, look, it's nobody thought Vanderbilt was going to beat Tennessee, and they did. Mm-hmm. Tennessee took them for granted. Well, you don't want Vanderbilt to do the same with LSU. I don't think they will, but this is where it gets real important, because I heard the clip in your update, Willie saying the quad
one wins
that they have. And,
yeah, they have 4.
Yeah, so I think I think this will be a good test, but this stretch that they have, we'll see. Got to keep putting it together. Speaking of stretches, Tennessee's been on a bad stretch as of late, and they're going to try and turn things around tonight at Texas A&M. This is a top 25 team. Texas A&M right now, a 1-point favorite in this game. I don't have a good read one way or another on Tennessee. I can't figure them out at all these last few games.
Yeah, Chase, they've been kind of confusing because they have the 2 buzzer beater losses to Vanderbilt and Missouri. Then follow that up with 2 of their starters being out, and they beat the number 1 team in the country in Alabama at home. Then they lose to Kentucky in Rupp Arena with probably one of their worst offensive performances all year, I would say, not even scoring 20 points at the half. And now they follow that up, not by an easy one. Texas A&M's second in the SEC right now, right behind Alabama, and they're playing in College Station. It's going to be an intense environment. It's I think Tennessee's 11th. I think they just barely dropped out of the top 10, but basically a top 10 matchup, a top 25 matchup with these 2 teams. It's going to be a tough one, and I think what it comes down to, Chase, is the team that Tennessee decides to show up as. That's what it comes down to. Does Zakai Ziegler get in foul trouble? Because I've mentioned that is crucial for Tennessee. He is their point guard. Jerry Stackhouse talked about how important Ezra Mignon is for this team running at the point. That is the exact same thing as Tennessee with Zakai Ziegler, because they're the guys who do it the best on the team. They've got great court vision. Zakai Ziegler can get to the rim. He finds these holes on the court, but he has trouble he's very, aggressive on defense, and he has trouble with getting some fouls sometimes. And that comes with being a heavy defensive team, but he cannot foul out, because I think if he does, I don't think Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's one of their most important players, and your most important players have to stay on the court. That's just kind of how it works. When you look at the kind of how the SEC tournament is shaping up, Bama's obviously the 1 seed. A&M is going to be the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. And then would you say 3 is kind of still up for grabs right now?
Yeah, I would say 3 is still up for grabs right now because, we have about 5 games left. This is a big one for Tennessee today. If Tennessee, wins the next couple of games, I think that they still, have probably the best shot to get that 3 seed. But with Kentucky sweeping them, it's going to depend on how they run out the rest of their season, because right now it's Alabama, Texas A&M, and then tied for 4th, Kentucky, Tennessee. Technically, Kentucky has the tiebreaker because they swept Tennessee, and then you have Auburn and Vanderbilt tied for 5th right now, but Vanderbilt has the tiebreaker on Auburn because they just beat them on Saturday. So it really is a tight race, and even though Alabama is sitting at the top right now, I think Texas A&M is only about a game or two back. It's gonna be a tight race, Chase.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the tournament.
Yeah, I'm like texting you during this interview, like, we need to keep this sound for the tournament coming up. But it's gonna be exciting because I remember, years when I was like, oh, Kentucky's gonna win the SEC, right? I felt pretty confident in that. I mean, these were years ago. Don't come at me on the text line. I know it hasn't been as of recent.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute, but the fact that I could see, any of these top 5 or 6 teams making a run and winning it makes it so exciting and so exciting to cover. And, as far as Vanderbilt, I think that they could potentially get a double bye. I think if they win the next 3 of 5 games, which they definitely can, it's going to be interesting. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Alabama, any of them can make a big run. Less than a month away.
I know. I can't wait. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Preds, though. Max Hers, who has been doing a fine job both pre and post and calling some games as well, will join us. We'll talk to him about tonight's game against Vancouver. That's all coming here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Did you know women only make up 14% of all engineers in the U.S.? Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field by ensuring that every girl reaches her full potential. Help introduce a girl to engineering by becoming a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
One reason for joining a company often becomes the most important reason for why you stay or don't. It's called work culture. At Cromwell Media, the owner of this radio station, we put a lot of energy into creating an environment that supports each individual and celebrates them as our teammates. This month, we're saluting Drew Chester in our sales department, who's enjoying his 5th anniversary. And Josh Kuhn, a part-time host on 102.9 The Buzz, passes the 3-year mark. Want to join Drew and Josh? Send us your resume at together@cromwellmedia.com.
At 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, we recognize our veterans, active military, and first responders with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators are back in action on the ice tonight against the Vancouver Canucks, who are 4-5-1 in their last 10 games and are coming off a 6-2 win on Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers. Preds GM David Poile joined Robbie and Rexrod weighing in on the playoff race with 28 games remaining in the season.
Just you never know what's going to happen. All I know is that we've got to win a game tonight, and we've got a couple more games, in my opinion, that can get us back into this race.
And over in the NFL, teams can start franchise tagging their players today. Some top candidates include Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Geno Smith, and Orlando Brown Jr. And Billy Joe McCombs has passed away at the age of 95. The Texas billionaire owned the NBA's Spurs and Nuggets, along with the NFL's Minnesota Vikings. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
1, 2, 3.
I think it was a good game.
You had a couple of big plays.
Oh, man, Yossi scores!
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, and even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Michelle Knezovic, Nick Keyser with you. Predators in action tonight to take on the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe they'll take them over. Who knows? With pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock. And the man that will be anchoring that coverage, Max Hers, joins us now. Max, good morning. How you doing?
Morning, team. Great to be on with you.
Hey, Max.
Yeah, thanks so much. Listen, you saw that like a high and a low, like the best way you can describe a Sunday afternoon against Minnesota. The call was fantastic when they tied it up, but then I could just hear the disappointment in your voice when Minnesota turned around and took the lead back. What was it like watching that in person?
Yeah, the Preds goal was 47 seconds left. I honestly did not have a full, clear view of the tip when it happened, when Nino Niederreiter tipped that shot. It was just such a weird shot it wasn't a shot from Yossi, it was a pass looking for a tip, but it was the type of play that you don't normally see Yossi make. It was a very soft, airborne, it looked like a shot on goal initially. It looked like it got blocked because it was such a kind of soft and fluttery airborne pass, but he knew exactly what he was doing, get it to Niederreiter, give him the space and the ability to make a tip, and he was the unmarked man in the 6-on-5, and it was a beautiful tip. And again, there was not a lot of pace on the initial movement from Yossi. So it's hard to get enough pace on a tip like that to score, especially from kind of that far out in the slot. So it was a beautiful goal. I couldn't tell exactly what happened on the play, but was able to clean up the call on the back end and say that it was Niederreiter's goal. And at that point, I mean, you know, and Hal said it right away, you got to survive the final 47 seconds here and get this game to overtime and not sit back on it. And they certainly didn't sit back. The Preds won the ensuing faceoff, had an icing call against them that they did not agree with. It looked like Jakob Trenin either touched the puck or was close enough to the puck right after Tanner Jeannot passed it towards him to negate that icing. But they come back into the D zone, fight hard for the faceoff, end up losing it off a scrum, and a shot that is deflected off your best shot blocker, Ryan McDonough, takes an unfortunate bounce. It was going way wide of the net. It hit Ryan Hartman in the gut and went into the goal. And Hal said this right after that goal, that you didn't do anything wrong there, that there wasn't anything you want to do differently. You got in the shot lane, you blocked the shot, you blocked it off to the side, and the puck just bounced into your net, and it was out of their control at that point, unfortunately. But a crazy final minute, as crazy of a final minute as you'll see in an NHL regular season game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And that game to me is a solid illustration of their season, just up and down. And that's just kind of what it's been. And look, I thought they played well. They obviously played well against Florida. So you've seen kind of a bounce back from what they had against Boston. But it's been a roller coaster ride, and they find themselves in the same position, just on the outside looking in, trying to break into a playoff spot. And I know that has to be the frustrating part for John Hines and his crew of trying to figure out how to get this team to play consistently.
Yeah, and they certainly were better Saturday than they were on Sunday, and some of that may be home road and second end of a back-to-back as well against a team that wasn't on a back-to-back in the Wild and got to play on their home ice. But they did not generate a ton until the third period at even strength on Sunday, I didn't think. So I think Saturday is the game to build off of, again, against a team that's in a similar spot to you and the Panthers that was desperate and is a pretty good team and has some weapons. Predators owned them, start to finish. Even when that game became a blowout, the Predators were still the better team, and they were able to sit on a 4-goal lead and at one point a 5-goal lead before a goal was called back and win that game very decisively. So I think Saturday is kind of the one of the weekend to build off of, but John Hines said a couple of times they wanted that weekend to be a win for 6 consecutive periods, and they definitely won all 3 periods Saturday. I don't think he said specifically how many he thought they won on Sunday, but I think it's probably 1, and it would be the third.
We're talking to Max Hers, who will anchor pregame coverage tonight starting at 6 as the Predators take on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, Vancouver, since the last time these two teams met, they have made some changes. They have moved some players, and they are certainly one of those teams that is in a rebuild mode. And as I look at this game and honestly the next 3 games, these are games that the Predators should win. But it's the way they've played, it's hard for me to say that is a definitive. But how important are the next 3 games starting tonight against Vancouver?
Yeah, there are 9 teams in the NHL that are tanking this year, which is ridiculously high, but Connor Bedard will do that. And the next 3 games are all against 3 of the 9 teams that are tanking. And the Coyotes are playing well right now. They're on, an 8 or a 9-game point streak with lots of overtime losses. They beat the Preds here last week, so that'll be an interesting one to finish up the week on Sunday down at the Arizona State Tiny Barn in Arizona, which I'm excited to see. But definitely a week where you need some points. You've got 5 more games before the trade deadline. These are the 3 against non-playoff teams in that group. Then you have the Penguins and the Panthers next week. So you guys heard David Poile this morning with Joe and Robbie. They haven't decided what they're doing yet, and they're going to take all the games that are in front of them as kind of just same as they would any other game. Those games are going to inform what they do. So these 3 this week are all really, really big. Like you said, the Canucks have really started to sell off pieces. They've changed coaches. They're not trying to make the playoffs. So this is definitely a game that you want on home ice tonight.
We've got Max Hers on with us. He will start pregame coverage at 6 p.m. on 102.5 The Game for the Preds versus Canucks game. Max, you mentioned David Poile's interview this morning, and one thing that I thought stood out was he mentioned, and he's mentioned this before, that last year they had 9 guys on the team have career years, and this year nobody has had a career year. And with some of the guys that you're paying these big contracts to haven't been living up to their potential, haven't been producing as much as this team needs. How concerning do you think that is for this team? And do you think that David Poile is leaning towards one way or the other of making a move at the trade deadline?
It's obviously concerning, but I think it's been that way most of the year. And the more positive part of it would be that just about all those guys have played better since New Year's. So they're starting to get a little more from those guys who they need to be leading the way, especially on the forward side. And unfortunately, Philip Forsberg got hurt during a stretch where he was playing really well and had been part of a really good top line with Glass and Duchesne. So I'm curious to see what the trade deadline looks like for everybody in that type of situation. And David said it this morning again in that interview. It's not just our big contracts that may be tough to move. It's everybody's big contracts that are tough to move. And case in point, the Ryan O'Reilly trade last week from the Blues to the Maple Leafs became a 3-team trade because the Minnesota Wild have $10 million in cap space and got a free 4th-round draft pick in 2025 in exchange for eating a quarter of Ryan O'Reilly's salary for the rest of the year, which is not the type of trade you ever see in the NHL. Like, that feels like an NBA thing. You just throw a third or a fourth team in there to get a little extra piece of it done. But we're at the point where salary cap room is more valuable than prospects or even players in some situations. So I think that'll be interesting to see at the deadline. But I think also the deadline has been misread a little bit, because all we heard was there can't be any trades until the Thursday, the night before the deadline, because nobody has enough cap room to get it done. And now we've already seen 3 really big trades happen involving teams that were able to unload players on rentals, for the most part, to teams that are buying, and also in some cases, like the Islanders with Bo Horvat, looking to sign those players long term. So I think, I don't know if it would be an overread or a misread, but I'm just really curious to see what happens at the deadline, because everybody's going to be getting real creative to combat the things that we've been hearing all season would prevent trades from happening that have now happened.
And Max, this morning Nick checked Money Puck, and the Preds have a 3% chance to get that second wild card spot for the playoffs. What do you think would be the best case scenario for the Preds, just looking at their future? You know, slipping into the playoffs this year, or deciding to make somewhat of a big move at the deadline and try to retool this team, I guess you could say, in the offseason leading into next year?
Well, I think they could still sell at the deadline and make the playoffs, which is definitely a possibility, because as it looks right now, there's one spot up for grabs for the Wild, the Flames, and the Preds. And none of those 3 teams are playing their best hockey right now. I think if you had to pick, not just because they're in the spot right now, but the Wild are playing the best of the 3, and it seems like Philip Gustafsson could be their answer in goal, which has been their problem all year. But the Flames have been on again, off again, a mess recently, and the Predators have been inconsistent, as we've been talking about all year. So there's one playoff spot open for a team that may not be playing their best right now. And I think if you sell without giving up everything, and I mean, they're like, the Blues aren't that far behind the Preds either. If the Blues have some young players come in and they get good goaltending and they play well, maybe even they're a factor there. So it's, again, another thing that you don't think about ever happening in the NHL, that there could be fewer teams that want to make the playoffs in a conference than there are spots, which is totally the opposite of NHL thinking usually. It's usually you get in, anything can happen, and I think you'd think that way even more with the way the Western Conference looks this year. I mean, the East has all the best teams in it. The West is wide open, and as I've said a couple of times with you guys, I think the favorite in the West is the Avs until someone beats them in a series. So the field is wide open, and I think even if a team were to sell a piece or two, they could have enough remaining to try and get a last playoff. I think it's not like the players who are left on that team aren't going to try to get in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Max, great job. We'll see you tonight at Bridgestone Arena and see what happens between the Preds and Canucks.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, guys. See you later today.
That is Max Hers. He will be anchoring our coverage tonight between the Predators and the Canucks, and then, of course, shifts to the play-by-play booth when they hit the road to take on San Jose on Thursday. We'll come back and discuss some things that you heard with him and what I need to see out of this team tonight, plus an update on Philip Forsberg and Phil Tomasino as well. That's all next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports has been my official sports book all football season long, and now you can bet basketball. You want to do a little NBA action, even soccer, hockey. So many options that you can bet, even tennis. Sometimes I get in on a little tennis action. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Vegas. And one thing I love about it is that they don't have any fancy computer algorithms, and there's no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. It is just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, you can check out some features of their best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. All you got to do is just download the Superbook Sportsbook app, or you can visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
It's the final countdown on the Electronic Express President's Day sale. That means huge savings in every department at any of our convenient locations, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers, headphones, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 5 years interest-free financing on furniture and mattress purchases. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Sale ends Saturday. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair in your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game. Taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
David, do you have any update on Philip Forsberg? Is it possible he could be back tonight? And also, is Philip Tomasino staying here, or is he going back to Milwaukee?
Philip Forsberg is, skating, not with the team. So no, he's not going to play tonight. I don't think he would play on this road trip. We have, just 2 games to San Jose and Arizona, but I think that he's, getting better. And, maybe next week when we talk, can have maybe more of an exact update. Phil Tomasino is staying with us right now. He's played okay. I think there's been some things that we've seen in terms of this quickness and speed, and a little bit better, but again, he needs to produce. We're giving him that opportunity to play in a higher role than he did last year, and yeah, I believe he's only got 1 assist. And again, he's kind of been thrown into the fire here, but this is his opportunity. So we're going to go with him, and we need him to, to play a little bit better, and we need him to produce. So let's hope he starts doing that tonight.
That's David Poile earlier today on Robbie and Rex Road. Back here, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezevic, Nick Keiser with you. So looks like still no Forsberg. And they said it was day to day when the injury initially happened, but if you watch what happened, you watch the injury, upper body, but looks like he hit his head on the ice. It's going to take some time, and you don't want to rush these things. So the hope is that he's okay and continues to get better, and then they get him back soon. But obviously they had missed his production. I do agree with David. I think Tomasino's been okay. I think there's another level that he needs to get to, and they need him to get to it fast. Maybe you can start to see that tonight and over the course of the last few games. But I think the reason that question was asked, because Nick, and you can help me with this, but I know I saw yesterday that maybe there was a transaction that he was sent down, but the team never confirmed that.
Yeah, last night I was going to bed and I was like, there's no way this is legit, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, well, maybe they're doing it because they need to move some money around, and it might have been for an ensuing move that was going to happen because of that. Because Jankowski was put on waivers yesterday. So my thinking there was, we might be getting someone back from injury, right? Well,
yeah.
I guess we can see tonight. I think we'll see in the other matchups later this week if we'll have someone else return from injury. I'm encouraged by Carrier because maybe he'll end up coming back by the end of the week. That's something I could see happening. I'm not saying I've heard anything or know anything, but I think he's someone we could have back before Phillip. Obviously, after hearing what David said, it sounds like they might be with that Phillip for another week, and that doesn't sound so great, especially if you're trying to get back in the playoffs. And we've already made it known what that little percentage really is. And last night seeing that little transaction freaked out a lot of Preds fans. Let me tell you.
Well, it wasn't an actual transaction though. It was a report on Twitter that people saw and started to gain some traction. So I think that's important to mention.
It looked like a scheduled tweet from something that does salary cap moves that I pay attention to. And I'll be honest, I told Willie, and he's like, ain't no way. So I thought to myself, too, after seeing, I thought I would share it to see what I would get out of him. But, yeah, they're not going to send him down after 4 games. There's just no way. And I think we're at the point in the season, too, guys, where he's a guy that's going to stay, if you ask me, because he's been in Milwaukee all year and he is what he is. Although I will throw this at you guys and see what you think, too. Based on what he said, I think he cares more about the production and points as opposed to how he's playing, which is fair, but he's 21, and I think he just needs that valuable time for minute-wise, not production. I wouldn't focus on him scoring goals and stuff like that. He's got a great pace to his game. Just throw him out there, give him some minutes. You're not going to lose anything by playing him at all here.
I think the problem is you're not getting that production from your veteran players. And bringing him up once Philip Forsberg was out with the injury is okay. Let's see what you can do and be a top 6 forward. And they really do need that production right now. I think from David Poile's comments, he's not satisfied with it. He said he is playing okay, but emphasized that he needs to have more production. That's what the team needs, right? They need scoring right now. Other than that Florida game, we haven't seen a lot of production offensively from a lot of the main guys on this team this year. And that was just a report. Basically what I heard or what I thought, this is complete speculation, is that if he doesn't start producing, then I wouldn't be surprised if he could get moved back down, Chase.
Potentially, but
probably frustrated that they're not getting that production out of him.
Yeah, and I think they're, to your point that you made, that I think they're frustrated they're not getting that production anywhere.
Yes.
That's the tough part, is just they can't find that production consistently, and that is what is keeping David Poile and John Hines and everybody else up at night, that they just they can't make it consistent. And so that's why I believe that, they're going to throw everything they got at it. And, if you're not getting the production out of somebody like Phil Tomasino, then they're going to keep making, moves until you do. And that's just kind of where they sit right now with this team. But what I want to see tonight is the consistent play that I saw against Florida. I want to see no passengers. That was something that was brought up in the locker room. It was brought up with John Hines of that no passengers on this team. Everybody's doing their job. Everybody's contributing. That's what I need to see out of this club tonight and against a team that you're better than. And that's what's worried me because you haven't seen that consistently, even though they're capable of it.
Yeah, Chase, I agree. Everybody tonight just needs to do their own specific job, right? Don't try to do somebody else's job.
Do your job.
Do your job. Do your job. And, it needs to be a full team effort. I think what we saw against the Panthers, that clearly was a team effort. You saw a lot of different guys getting involved offensively during that game. Then a little bit of drop-off when they played the Wild. But these next couple of games, they are not against playoff teams. This team tonight, the Canucks, they are not a playoff team. So the Preds should win the next 4. Will they? That still is a question mark in front of it. They're behind it.
Should and will are two different things, and they're dangerous things at times. But I agree that they should. But and Willie doesn't like that word. So if Willie's hearing that, he's going to get mad.
He doesn't like the word should?
No. Whenever I say a team should win a game, he always gets mad at me.
So
That's
he probably
Willie.
doesn't like the term must win either.
No, he doesn't. Coach Willie doesn't like that. So, you got
Listen, Coach Willie's my college basketball guy, so we love Willie.
He is, and Coach Willie is a wise man. So he
wise man once said.
Wise man once said for sure. But again, we'll see how it all shakes out tonight. Max will have coverage starting at 6:00, and also I'll be filling in for Jared this afternoon with Adam Vingan. I'll be on the rest of the week, and Adam is going to put together some trade scenarios for the Predators, so you will not want to miss that. As Vingan will come up with that. Plus, Coach Bob Shoop will join us and Trevor Manich as well. Coming up next, we're going to talk some football. We'll get into the Titans, and maybe once Aaron Rodgers comes out of his darkness retreat, will we get a clearer picture on the quarterback situation in the NFL? We'll discuss that coming up next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You can trek through the savannas of Africa. Wait on the magic moment on the Great Plains of North America. Or find the thrills of Patagonia. You can book your dream hunt at the SEI Convention, coming to Nashville for the very first time. Come find your adventure February 22nd through February 25th. It's the ultimate sportsman's market, a place for every hunter. And this year, it's happening Music City style, with sold-out performances by Big and Rich and Leonard Skinner. But you can still find your outdoor adventure and rock out with the Frontman with Gretchen Wilson. It's a celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, February 22nd through February 25th. Come find your adventure. Just log on to safariclub.org. One more time, that's safariclub.org. This convention will sell out, so reserve your spot today. Come find your adventure.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, "Don't sell without the intel." This message couldn't be more true. Right now, it's a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? And intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, The Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com. That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Mid-State Sports League spring registration is now open. With 7 different sports to choose from, there is something for every player. Join Nashville's largest sports leagues and register as a free agent or bring your own team. Spring registration is now open for softball, sand volleyball, soccer, kickball, flag football, and basketball. For a full list of adult and youth leagues, check out midstatesports.com. That's midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are the go-to spot in Nashville for the best old-fashioned, a nice relaxing cigar, and lots of high-end spirits and wine. Are cigars not your thing? No problem. We have the best ventilation system in the industry that provides a fresh, clean atmosphere for you and your friends. We are here to provide you a trendy, upscale experience in the heart of downtown. Check us out at 508 Church Street. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. Luxury redefined.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I got some good news.
Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And additionally to being the bird in hand, he's the guy you don't have to give up draft capital for outside of Garoppolo, right? You know, you'll have to – he's a free agent. But I'm curious how that works because there's so many dominoes because you look at Nathaniel Hackett coming on to be the OC, and now people are drawing ties to Aaron Rodgers, and we know he's on his darkness retreat. Must be nice to, do that, I guess. But you got that. And then you look at Todd Downing becoming the pass game coordinator there with the Jets, and now people are drawing parallels to Ryan Tannehill. So that Jets part of it is really integral as far as when you look at the veteran quarterback carousel that could happen. And I think that's where it starts. But we'll just have to see how it all falls into line.
That's Teron Davenport yesterday on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace talking about the Jets quarterback situation because obviously they're a part of the dominoes of everything. The big chips out there right now, Michelle, Rodgers and Carr, I guess, would be the two biggest ones. Which one's going to be the first domino? Now, do we have an update on when Aaron is, I know we don't need to report things. We're not in his inner circle, and so therefore we don't know for sure. But has Pat McAfee or anybody said when Aaron might emerge from the darkness?
I haven't heard anything yet. Tuesdays are the day that he goes on with Pat McAfee, so I'm sure there'll probably be an update on there, or if he's on there, I guess that means that his retreat has ended. So, yeah, I'm not really sure. Haven't seen anything or heard anything, but I would assume that they'll either mention Aaron's not on today because he's still in the darkness, or Aaron will be on today, Chase. Not sure.
I wait with
I can't keep track, honestly.
I know. I heard Robbie describing this yesterday, but I think it'd be hilarious. There's a video and like the door opens and like there's smoke and he comes out with sunglasses and it's just like.
Corey Curtis said that and he's like, and come out with a pizza box and open the pizza box and it's just the Packers logo.
Yeah.
Like all of this up and down roller coaster ride for him to be like, you know what?
What if he came out in full uniform?
Oh gosh.
He walks out in the uniform of the team that he wants to play for.
Well, I hope the Darkness Retreat did everything that he wanted or needed it to do. If he wants to do that,
yeah, like
go for
my
it.
Question,
it became such a thing.
My question on it, because I thought about this, I'm like, all right, could I actually pull this off? The answer is probably no, because 4 days, that's a long time. Now, could I like pull off, a couple days by myself, alone in a cabin? No TV, no computer, no phone, things like that. Oh, absolutely. I could do that. But I would have to have like my guitar and, listen to some music or something. I couldn't do darkness and silence. That I would go crazy.
I think I could do it. I would honestly just go to sleep. My superpower is being able to fall asleep anywhere at any time.
Ooh, I wish I could do that.
So, I mean, 4 days is a long time. That's like a lot. Like
now I could probably do
70
it
hours.
if I was self-medicating. If I had something to help me along, I might be able to do that. But which I don't know if he did or not. I would assume there was something, maybe. Who knows? But I don't know. He's a weird bird, though.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who is the first domino, right? Because the important factor is that Derek Carr is a free agent. You don't have to give up draft capital, as we heard TD mention. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, he's still under contract with Green Bay. So somebody else would have to, make a trade, make Green Bay like the option that they give them, as well as taking on his contract. So how many picks, how much draft capital are you willing to give up for Aaron Rodgers? Whereas Derek Carr, no, not as good as a quarterback as Aaron Rodgers, easier to get, and you don't have to give up future assets. And I kind of look at this Jets team, a young team of, could they be leaning more towards a Carr because of that? It's a young Jets team that they've been able to build together. And I also don't know how Robert Saleh and Rodgers would get along. Robert Saleh gives me Vin Diesel, I don't take any bleep from anyone vibes.
I like that.
Right?
I
think that would be his, if somebody played Robert Saleh in a movie, it 100% would be Vin Diesel.
So, two things. David Carr, Derek's brother,
Yes.
who's an analyst for the NFL Network, said that he believes it's going to be a long process before his brother decides. He's only really met with the Saints.
And the Jets.
And the Jets. So, he said, like, quote, he really only has the Saints, the Raiders, and the Jets to kind of compare those three places. So he wants to do his due diligence and see as many places as he can to get a feel for what the best place will be for him. Now, we haven't heard any type of visit with the Titans, so that's obviously interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that it won't happen, but it could. But I look at ESPN Plus did a list of the top 50 free agents and their fits. They have Derek Carr as the 6th, and the best team fit is the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
Is what they have. And I think I agree with that. Because I ultimately, like, what I think is probably going to happen is I'm starting to lean towards Vegas is going to go all in on Aaron to bring him there and put him back with Devontae. So that might be what happens. And then the Jets are going to be, unless there's a move we just haven't seen coming, they're going to be the ones on the outside looking in of, crap, now what do we do? And, like, end up with somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I look at, and obviously it has to be mutual on both ends, but if I'm Derek Carr and I look at both rosters between the Jets and the New Orleans Saints, I definitely want to go to the Jets. I mean, we looked at what they were able to do with two quarterbacks who are worse than him and a team that's just young, really, really kind of scratching the surface right now, just barely missed the playoffs. But, they got a big win over the Bills. They had some promising wins this year. They just weren't able to figure it out at the quarterback position. But another team, Chase, that I want to throw in there that hasn't really been talked about, but definitely will need somebody at the quarterback position is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
I look at Arthur Smith, been there for a couple years now, hasn't been able to break through in a division that's not good. Could they be a team that's looking to, whether it be a Derek Carr or a Jimmy Garoppolo, just to get a veteran guy in there?
I think that's interesting. And also on this list, the ESPN says Jimmy G to the Jets is the best fit. So, no, I agree. I think Atlanta, and I think if Lamar truly becomes available, you're going to see Atlanta go all in to go get him. I just feel I feel like that is a fit. Now, they have Lamar as the best fit as Baltimore. Ultimately, that probably ends up happening. But if he became available, I could definitely see Atlanta making a strong push to get Lamar.
So starting today, NFL teams can designate their franchise or transaction players. So some notable ones. Franchise tag candidates include Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Geno Smith, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, Orlando Brown Jr., Jesse Bates, Darren Payne, and Josh Jacobs. So a lot of names in there that had coming off great seasons. I know that Daniel Jones with the Giants, a report came out that he wanted more than they were offering up to him. So there's another quarterback who his future with his current team could also have a question mark next to it. And if they don't re-sign Saquon Barkley, that could definitely play into that.
Yeah, now that would be interesting because I think that would, that would set the Giants way back. And I never thought I would say that with Daniel Jones, but he fit with Brian Daboll. Obviously having Saquon back and healthy made a huge difference. And so now they're kind of in a tough spot of what do we do? It's going to be hard to keep both of them long term. I think they'd probably I don't know. Would they franchise? Who would they franchise? They're going to probably have to use it, but on which one? That's the question.
On Daniel Jones or Saquon?
Yeah.
I would use it on Daniel Jones because the money he's asking for, I think the number was $45 million a year he's asking for. Yeah, he did take the Giants to the playoffs. They haven't made a playoff run in a very, very long time. But do you compare Daniel Jones to a Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson? Whereas Saquon, a running back, to pay him, you're not going to have to use as much salary than you would have to pay a Daniel Jones. And Saquon is your best player on that team. He is your franchise player. It's similar to the Titans here. Derrick Henry is your franchise player. It's not your quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's very true. They have those comparisons. So Daniel Jones could be the wild card in all of this. I mean, how crazy would it be if they don't franchise tag him and he becomes a free agent and he ends up staying in New York but with the Jets? That could be something if they end up going that route. Not sure that'll happen, but you never know. Coming up next on this ESPN free agent list, there are two Titans that they have going elsewhere, and that concerns me a little bit. I'll tell you who. We'll discuss that to wrap things up. It's Chase and Michelle here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. But before we go to break, let's give something away. If you want to go see Bad Flower at Brooklyn Bowl on April the 1st, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. You'll win a pair of tickets to see Bad Flower at Brooklyn Bowl on April the 1st. Here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the
what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official 2022 stats are in, and the Pella brand is rated #1 by Nashville homeowners for windows and doors. One reason, Nashville homeowners selected Pella Windows #1 for the highest quality craftsmanship. Another key stat, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is also rated #1 for the brand that stands behind their product. If you need new doors or windows, the choice is clear. Choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Stop! Are you about to pay too much for new furniture? Then you need to come by Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in Nashville. Their President's Day sale is going on now. You can buy your new furniture today and get it today. But you do not have to pay today. During Social Furniture's President's Day sale, they have special financing for up to 60 months with no money down. Sectional sofas, mattresses, dining sets, bedroom sets, and more are up to 50% off. At Social Furniture, they say yes, yes, yes.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more in an Oktoberfest-inspired space. Visit BeerHouseNashville.com for their live music schedule. Get a $50 gift card for half off right now at TheGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
You're listening to Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace is coming up next. They'll be live at Bridgestone Arena. Predators taking on the Vancouver Canucks tonight. I will be back on in just a little bit for Stillman and Company for the rest of the week. Looking forward to having Adam Vingan with me. But there's some free agents, and I always like these lists, Michelle, that like ESPN Plus and Athletic, and hey, where do we think these people are going to go? Mm-hmm. And so naturally, I'm looking through it.
Wait, let me guess one of them.
For the Titans.
Yes. I was in the break. I didn't look anything up, and I'm trying to think. I know one of them definitely is David Long Jr.
You are correct.
And the other one, I'm going to need a position group because I cannot think for the life of me.
Offensive line.
Oh, Nate Davis.
Yep. All right, now, they have them going to other teams. They do not have them remaining with the Titans.
Interesting.
Do you think you could take a guess at, and that might be hard, but of the best fit that they have for David Long?
Staying in the AFC or no?
Staying in the AFC, yes.
I'm assuming it's not within division.
Nope.
Jets?
Nope.
Give me a region.
West.
Bengals?
Nope.
I have no idea.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh. Wow, you said west and I went north.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's interesting.
They say Long would fill a critical need for the Raiders as a second-level linebacker with the natural instincts to track the ball and finish. Las Vegas was 27th in yards allowed per play last season, and Long, a 5'11" and at 227 pounds, was one of the best off-ball run defenders I watched on tape in 2022. So I think that's interesting because if they're going to go all in on Rodgers, the concern for Rodgers is Vegas doesn't have a very good defense. Mm-hmm. David Long would help upgrade that defense.
100%.
Now, my hope is the Titans re-sign David Long because I think the Titans do need to re-sign David Long. Now, the other one that they have is Nate Davis. I am starting to believe more and more that Nate Davis is not going to be back. That I think that they will just completely redo that offensive line, that they may look at he's going to command too much money that they'd be willing to pay because they have to do so much on the offensive line. And ESPN Plus has the best fit for Nate Davis as the Washington Commanders. And they would look at him as, because Trey Turner is going to be a free agent as well. So they would look at him as an upgrade at that position. by adding Nate Davis.
And if I'm looking at the two and I have a preference on if I can only sign one of them as the Tennessee Titans, I'm choosing David Long Jr. because not only is he's a special player that you found late in the draft, and he affects the defense so much. I mean, we saw when he was off the field what it looked like compared to when he was on the field. And I also just feel like he represents the grit and toughness that this Tennessee Titans franchise, almost like their culture.
Yeah.
I think of the games they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and David Long Jr. is all over Travis Kelce, right? Just a defense-heavy team. And I look at Nate Davis, and they're going to want to create an entirely new offensive line. And I think they probably look at Nate Davis and they just think his health between last year and this year, are they really going to pay a lot of money, or are they just going to try? They have a new general manager, draft and use free agency to build an entire new line.
So, yeah, and I 100% agree with you on that. The Titans have a lot of free agents, and there are some names on here that I really would like to see them address and bring back. And some will be easy and some probably won't. One is Austin Hooper. I'd like to see Austin Hooper back on a maybe a 1 or a 2 year deal. I thought as the season went on, he got a lot better in this offense, so I would be fine bringing him back if they can get him on the cheap, which I don't know if they can. Another one is Teair Tart. I love Teair Tart.
Yes.
But he's going to get a raise. He's going to get a pretty big raise, I think. So, is that somebody that they'll be able to bring back? He's a restricted free agent, so it might be a little easier, but he's one.
Yeah, Chase, I was just going to say, just on the Teair Tart front, I mean, we saw him, especially when Danico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons were on that line and out due to injury. You really saw Teair Tart take a step up. And there's a guy who from last year to this year, just in his play as a whole, and Variables talked about it, Shane Bowen's talked about it. There's a guy who really has taken a step up, and I think he's a guy that you definitely want to try to re-sign. Maybe we'll see a cartwheel next year.
You can tell Vrabel loves him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could just tell they love the type of guy and character
Pop-Tart.
he has. Pop-Tart. I told him to try a cartwheel after he did the forward roll after Thursday Night Football when he got the recovery of Dak's fumble.
Yeah.
I was like, you should try a cartwheel next time. So look out for those next year.
Don't get hurt.
Yeah,
don't
true.
Get hurt,
Do not get hurt doing a cartwhile.
But I agree. But then the other one is David Long. I think they need to definitely re-sign David Long and bring him back. And then there's some others that I think they would probably try. Like Aaron Brewer's an RFA. I think he's probably a part of this new look offensive line somehow, some way. Maybe he probably moves to his natural position of center, which I think would be better for him than trying to play guard. But if they can upgrade, then obviously yes. If Ben Jones decides to come back, then obviously yes. But I think David, like if I'm doing like a top 3, it would be David Long, Teair Tart, Austin Hooper.
You're not putting Aaron Brewer in there?
Well, no, I'm just saying like a top 3 to re-sign.
Oh. Yeah.
That would be my top 3.
I would do Long, Tart, and yeah, Austin Hooper probably would be my 3rd. I think Aaron Brewer's a good guy to have as a depth piece. I feel like, Chase, you feel pretty confident that Ben Jones played his last game as a Tennessee Titan.
I do. I think he's going to retire.
He
seems at peace.
Yeah, and I could see that too with him retiring and them really just building a whole new offensive line, right? Not trying to re-sign a Nate Davis and keep a Brewer and then Jones. But if Ben Jones retires, I could see maybe Aaron Brewer at center. He's just small.
Yeah.
And
that's
we saw
the hard
him
part,
play at center.
Is his size.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he did a fine job when he played at center a couple times this year when Ben Jones was out.
Yeah, he did, and I thought he did better with that. But I think let me kind of change my answer a little bit. I think you just said what they probably see him as, a depth piece, and maybe he can play guard, he can play center, maybe he's not a starter. If they can find their next center either via the draft and they look at it as, okay, maybe Brewer can start the year and then we move to a new guy, or they can upgrade via free agency, they will, if it's not Ben Jones.
I agree with that, Chase. I think that they want to keep him because they think that he can be a guy who can step in when need be, like he did at center this year. We've seen that he can play guard as well. Ideally, you don't want him to be one of your starters on the offensive line because you just want to get some bigger guys up front there. But I think that he's definitely a valuable piece when you're trying to grow some depth at the offensive line, because we saw how little depth they did have this past year and how much that hurt this team's offense.
Yeah, no doubt. So the frenzy is not for a while. We got a few more weeks before free agency actually opens, but I do think that maybe by the end of the week we're going to start to get a clearer picture on some of the moves that might happen in the NFL. If I do know that, you know, Carr can take his time, but he can also sign before free agency opens, and I think he's going to want to get that done before free agency opens, since he has the ability to get ahead of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I would think in the next couple of weeks.
He's definitely in the best position. I do think, though, Aaron Rodgers will have to be that first domino, unless the Jets say, you know what, we think Derek Carr would be a great fit here. We don't want to have to deal with all of the drama that surrounds Rodgers. We don't want to have to give up future assets to go get Rodgers. Let's sign Carr. He's cheaper, and we don't have to give up, you know, our drafting future. And then maybe, too, Charles Robinson said this on our show last week, that the Jets haven't given up on Zach Wilson. So, okay, learn under Derek Carr for a little bit. Have Derek Carr play with this team that's put together pretty well, and then maybe in a couple years, Zach Wilson is ready to be your starting quarterback, the guy you drafted.
Yeah. And by the way, on the way out, A.J. Brown said on the Raw Room podcast that if the Eagles fail to pay Jalen Hurts, then they need to ship him off wherever Hurts ends up.
Oh, gosh. He also said that the Titans need to change their play calling signals.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll discuss some of that maybe tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
That's going to do it for us, though. Stick around. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, they're coming up next. We'll be back at it tomorrow at 9 here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams